Welcome. Hi, I'm Naira. I'm here to inspire you. Let's talk about me and you and the many, many me's of us, right? Because every day we get a choice. Every day we get a choice. Every moment we get a choice. Like, who am I going to be today? Who am I going to bring out today, right? Like which person, which version of me is the one that is starring in my movie today, in my movie of my life. That's me. So I think we all have just so many different roles that we have to play every day, and so many different things that we have to do every day. And there's so much judgment and shame and guilt that gets passed around from like one person to another, just back and forth. And like, let's talk about how we must not contaminate ourselves with other people's shame, with other people's guilt, with other people's anger, with other people's disappointment, with their lack and their scarcity mindset. We should not be contaminated with the negativity, right? Like when we get negativity directed at us and we take it like it's contagious and then we become negative, that's a choice we get to make, right? That's a choice we get to make every moment. Like, am I going to allow this person's negativity contaminate me? And sometimes, I'm being honest, yeah, I do. Of course I do. I get pissed. But most times I try to not. Most times I say, okay, is this about me? Even though they may be saying it's about me, right? Like, is it truly about me? Because I don't feel shame. I don't feel embarrassment. I don't think that these are feelings that we should be feeling or having our children feel. Like, I just don't think that it's necessary. They're not necessary emotions because we feel embarrassment for other people, right? And I have always said, I'm like, if something about me bothers you, just about my being, then that's your problem. That's not my problem. Like, me just existing, living my good old life, like being who I am, bothers you, like that's a you problem. But if something that I do is making you feel uncomfortable about you, like if I'm putting that judgment on you, then it's my problem, you know? Because I I go around town with like just hair on my legs and in my armpits and my mustache growing sometimes, like just living my life, right? And my friends, people, whatever, are like, oh, I could never. I would be so embarrassed to go outside with hairy legs. And it's like, why though? Like, why though? Like, first of all, why are they looking so hard? Like, why are you looking so hard at me and what I'm doing? And if you really want to shave your legs, then you do it. It's not, it's not about me at that point anymore. It's about you. And honestly, it should always be about you. It should be, why does this bother me so much, right? Because if it's bothering you enough to say something or even think something, you should unpack that. So, in the many, many different versions of us, we are constantly trying to strive to fit some sort of our typical version of that. Like, well, if I were blah blah blah, I would never, right? Like, I would never. That's people's favorite thing to say. Or like, oh, well, if that were me, like I remember talking to my brother-in-law and saying, oh, I don't know, maybe I'll have another kid. Like, maybe. This is, I'm back to no. But before, when I was thinking about it, he's like, well, I wouldn't if I were you. And it's like, wait, what? Why? What? Like, if you wouldn't, then you don't. But why would, like, it doesn't even compute. Like, those, I just try so hard to not ever put my feelings of what I would do onto somebody else, or what they should do onto somebody else, right? Because it is not my life. I don't live in their brains. I will say that till I'm blue in the face. Like, I don't live in their mind. Why? How do I know what they would or would not do, or should not do? If somebody is telling you that they want to do something, oh, your only response should be, all right, go for it. Because you're not me. You, like, so I think we get so caught up, the whole world is so caught up in this like weird sense of only if you really can relate, then it's important, right? And it's always like that. It's like, oh, I don't care about gay people. You don't care about gay people until your son is gay. And then it's like, oh, well, now it's a personal matter. Why? Why couldn't it have just been a personal matter? Because gay people are people. They're just people. It doesn't even matter what they do, right? Same with like this whole terrible world that we live in that is just so racist and Islamophobic and transphobic and all the phobics, right? And then we sit here and it's like, oh, that's wrong. And then turns out daddy is, right? Or you fall in love with a Muslim guy. You find out that your best friend is actually trans, whatever the case is, right? And then it's like, oh, well, now I see. And I get it if you need something to kind of bring some perspective into it, but like, how can we get to a place and a point where we're allowed to just be who we are, the many versions of who we are, and just be okay in it? And just allow for others to be okay in it, right? Because there's this whole 17 diaper thing going on TikTok, right? Where the mom had 17 dirty diapers laying around the house and she's cleaning them up and people are just shaming. And it's like, man, it's hard to be a mom. It's hard. Everything is hard. Honestly, it's hard to be a human. Humaning is like the hardest thing in the world. It's the hardest thing we could do. Right? And then we sit there and we pass judgment and we make people feel badly because there's this also like, I'm better than you, or like you're doing worse than me, and that's the only way I can feel good, instead of like we're both okay. But I don't know, I guess there needs to be some sort of comparison, right? So that you know what you would or would not want to be like. And I always think of that whenever people are a certain way that I'm just not interested in being like. I'm like, you know what? At least what they're helping me with is showing me who I don't want to be. I had a college professor when I was in this movie class. Oh my gosh, there was a movie about, I think, some conquistador. It was a Latin American movie. And there was a scene of a river flowing for 20 minutes. Like, I kid you not. Like, one of the reviews on Rotten Tomatoes was like, the movie moves slower than tectonic plates shifting. And I thought that was like the most accurate description. And I obviously remember being so bored. I'm like, why am I watching this? And my professor saying, if that's the case, if you're like, why am I watching this? Why is this like this? Then why don't you try to see why you don't like it? What is it about it that's bringing up these emotions? Because again, they made the movie. Like, they did that. It already happened, right? And they liked it, or they at least wanted to portray it, or trying to bring some sort of emotion, right? So what kind of emotions does it invoke in you? And why? Why does it do that, right? So I take that with me everywhere I go. I'm like, yeah, like, what is this showing me? Is this showing me how I don't want to be? Because that's equally as important, knowing who you don't want to be, right? And that's how you get to make the choice every day of what kind of vibe you're trying to be on, what kind of things you're trying to attract. There's days where I'm just like off completely and nothing works out for me. And I'm mad. Because nothing's working out for me, and nothing's working out for me because I'm mad. So it's just this cycle. And then kind of get out of it like, you know what? I'm shifting my mindset, because that's all you can do. Life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it, right? Because things are just things. Things just happen. They exist because this is now. And then you get to decide which you want to be. Which you are you going to be today? So, all in all, remember today that it's your choice. What happens out there, even though it seems it's so out of your control, it's not. It truly isn't. Because the only thing you can control is your mindset. The only thing that you can be present in and aware of is just right now. There's literally nothing else that we have. You know, so when other people are trying to throw shame and guilt and venom at you, it's like, are you gonna take it? Because it's your choice. You get to decide. You get to decide how far their negativity is gonna go. If they're gonna contaminate you with it too, and then you're gonna take it to the next person, or you're gonna be like, nah. Because if somebody was saying terrible stuff to you in a different language, if I just started speaking you know, no sabe nada in Spanish, whatever, Hindi, whatever language, if I just started to say really bad things to you, you wouldn't even know. So you wouldn't even care. You only care when you know, right? Or when you think you know, what you understand of it. That's the only thing we can do, is only grasp the concept of what we know. So it's up to us to decide. It's up to us to decide that. So I'm gonna pick some songs today that are gonna just make me feel like the many, many me's, because I am a human from Earth, right? And ultimately, that's it. It's so funny when people are like, oh, I didn't know you did this, or I didn't know you could dance, I didn't know you spoke the languages. Like, yeah, how could you? You don't know me at all. You don't know anything about me. So why don't you leave room open for other people to show you who they are, instead of assuming, you know, or putting our projections on them. Like, let people show you who they are. Give them space for that. So pick your songs and then join me in the next one.